All right, welcome back. Today we're going to discuss the Bruins. After the 16-day break, they decided they were going to jumble up the lines. I don't know if it was Bruce Cassidy's idea or Sweeney's idea, or it came from higher up. Who knows? But they did. So the new lines as stands is Marchand, Bergeron, and Craig Smith on the first line. Second line is Taylor Hall, Eric Haula, and David Pastrnak. Third line, DeBrusk, Coyle, and Nick Foligno. And the last line is Trent Frederick, Tomas Nosek, and Lazar for the Buffalo game. And then he had a maintenance day. He was kind of banged up from Buffalo, so Steen played in that spot against Detroit. So, great. This is exciting. New lines. Very needed. But was it really... kind of what I wanted to look into. Bruins have been a fine specimen to watch this year. They've been very intriguing. And just when you think there's hope, there really isn't. And I kind of want to discuss that. So, first off, the lines as these are work out very well. Marchand and Bergeron are inseparable. They just produce and produce. Craig Smith can play with any line, and as expected, fits in very well with Bergeron and Marchand. Second line, you have Haula and Hall, who actually play really well together. They feed off of each other, and they've both just, when they're on the ice together, there's a sense of like excitement and I want to do something fun on the ice with both of them. So Pasternak's trying to figure out his game right now. He's not going to get fed that one-timer at the top of the dot anymore for like 90% of his goals. So he needs to kind of go back to his roots and find his creative ways, because he's a very diverse player, but he hasn't really been playing that the past couple seasons because he's had some beautiful feeds that translate to goal. So Pasta, it'll come. Third line is DeBrusk, Coyle, and Foligno. Now, DeBrusk has been playing well since requesting a trade and being booed in Boston. He feels like he has something to prove. He's a fantastic player, very diverse, huge skill set, a lot of speed in that guy, and he's been meshing really well with Nick Foligno. Of course, Coyle's centering that line, and on the last line you have Nosek centering Frederick and Lazar or Steen. In both games, these lines were the fourth line was very noticeable. It was very good. We see Frederick net his first goal. We saw Foligno net his first goal in a Bruins uniform. Nosek played, especially against Detroit, played a really strong game. So I kind of want to discuss what's, this is what we expected, and ice time should be fairly proportional. What did we actually get? So Saturday was the first game back after the break. They played against Buffalo at home. They won 4-3 in overtime. Bergeron, most ice time for any forward at 20 minutes, 20 seconds. Coyle had 15:52 minutes of ice time. As the third line center, Haula as the second line center had 13:40. Keep in mind, Coyle and Haula both play on, or have been playing, at least these two games, on the power play and penalty kill. Pastrnak had 19:06 of ice time, second line, and his line mate Hall had 15 minutes and 55 seconds. So these ice times very much resemble the prior lines that the Bruins had before the break. You had Bergeron, first line center, fantastic. Coyle, second line center, and his ice time aligns with Taylor Hall, who's also on the second line. Haula, honestly, it's more ice time than he's been getting, but it's not second line numbers. And he played, really Haula, these two games, he played very well. He was a dynamic, excellent piece to that Bruins team, and a big reason why they eked out those two victories. He played excellent, but third or fourth, close to fourth line minutes right there. And Pastrnak getting first line minutes, 19 minutes and 6 seconds. And of course, Pastrnak plays on the power play, but so does Hall, and so does Coyle and Haula and Bergeron. All these guys play on the power play. Coyle is usually second. Coyle and Hall are usually second unit, but it just resembles the old lines in terms of ice time. Moving on to yesterday's game, Sunday, it was against Detroit. They won 5-1. Very decisive win. Detroit didn't look that great. Of all the Bruins skaters on the ice, all of them, Charlie Coyle led the way with 21 minutes and 48 seconds. McAvoy was second. He should and always does lead the Bruins in ice time. He had 21 minutes and 12 seconds. So Coyle beat him by, 36 seconds? That's a shift. Bergeron had 15 minutes and 40 seconds of ice time. And it's not like he was playing a bad game. He played well. Haula, as a second-line center, right? So Haula's still a second-line center in this game. He gets 12 minutes and 51 seconds of ice time. The fourth-line center, Tomas Nosek, who had a fantastic game. He deserved more ice time. 14 minutes and 14 seconds. The only other forward on the Bruins, besides Charlie Coyle, that had over 16 minutes of ice time, was Jake DeBrusk at 16 minutes and 8 seconds. There's a huge disparity between DeBrusk and Coyle. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't. Coyle was not the best one on the ice that day. He wasn't. They scored 5 goals. They had 10 players have points. Coyle had an assist. It was a secondary assist at one point throughout the game. Couldn't tell you when because didn't really realize he was on the ice. He had several turnovers and he just did not hustle back on defense. He's a good defensive player. I don't want to say great, but good. He's very good. Plays on the penalty kill, but he just would not hustle back and play defense. He would wait up by the blue line or the red line. He wasn't even in the defensive zone half the times. Ready for the puck. All right. So I don't know why Cassidy loves Charlie Coyle so much, but even though Coyle's the third line center now, he's still getting second and first line center minutes, and it blows my mind. So Coyle's time on ice the last 5 games, since we're on the Coyle subject. Calgary, this is 5 games ago. This is like beginning of December. 18 minutes, 34 seconds. Fine, 18 minutes. It's a little much for a second line center, but fine. Some teams, their second line center can play upwards of maybe 19 minutes. So whatever. Second line center minutes. Biggest Golden Knights, 18-28. New York Islanders, 22 minutes and 45 seconds. That's absurd. I'm just throwing that out there. That's absurd minutes for a second line center. What? Buffalo, he played 15-32, and this is the only time he scored a goal was in the Buffalo game. He actually looked best in the Buffalo game, where his ice time was limited, and he made every shift count. You didn't see that with the other games where he's over 18 minutes. You don't. But we're back to 21 minutes and it was 48 seconds. My apologies. Yeah, 48 seconds. Yeah, 48. 48. All right, I'm not crazy. 21 minutes and 48 seconds against Detroit. So you'd be like, but Ben, he's having a good year. He's having a career year. First, yes, you're not wrong. And yes, he has an incredible shot. Sorry. Before I get ahead of myself, the goal he scored against Buffalo was in overtime. It was a 3-on-3. And Marchand fed him a beautiful pass. And Coyle's got a nice shot. He buried it. No surprise. He was in good position. But it wasn't a 5-on-5 goal. It wasn't like a power play goal. It was an important goal nonetheless, but not enough to warrant a more than 6-minute increase in ice time for the next game. 6 minutes and what was that, 16 seconds? That's crazy. So Coyle's stats this season, 28 games, he has 8 goals, 8 assists for 16 points. So keep in mind, as the second line center, playing next to Taylor Hall. Sometimes Nick Foligno, sometimes, Craig Smith. Who knows? Craig Smith has more points than Charlie Coyle in the past 5 games, mind you. And he hasn't played the minutes Charlie Coyle has. Okay, so that would tell you that Coyle's on a 23-goal pace and a 46-point pace, which for a second-line center who doesn't show up to play defense on several shifts isn't good enough. And if you go back in Coyle's career, right, his whole career, dating back to his rookie year in Minnesota, every line he's on, his line mates seem to suffer greatly with point production. Every single line. Coyle is the main point producer of whatever line he's on. And, that's okay, but there's a lot of flack going to like Taylor Hall. Why isn't he producing? When you take Coyle off the line and play him next to a guy like Haula, all of a sudden Taylor Hall looks like he's like that $6 million annual average value contract is well worth it. So it's just, I like the Bruins. I watch the Bruins quite a bit, among other teams, but it's just, it blows my mind how they make a big deal out of, well, we got these new lines, and honestly, they look great. The lines look great. I would love these lines, but I would like to see the minutes distributed proportionally. Because the time on ice the last 2 games would tell you we don't actually have new lines in Boston. These are the old lines. This is all for show because the fan base is getting a little riled up because the team's not performing. So, yeah, I don't know, man. There needs to be a change. I don't know if it's Cassidy that needs to go. I know Sweeney should be on the hot seat. He probably should be out, unless he's going to work up a deal like tomorrow. Sweeney should probably go. And honestly, it's getting to that point where I'm losing a lot of faith in Cassidy the way he's managed this team this year. Great guy. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. It just might be time for a change behind the bench in Boston. Speaking of that, I had a prior video, I think it was like 3 minutes, where I discussed Tuukka Rask. The bringing back the taxi squads because of the new COVID restrictions, the Bruins will probably sign Tuukka Rask. Probably to a little more than he should be signed for. Probably should be like a league minimum or like $1 million contract, and that should just finish out the year, right? Who knows with Sweeney? But, the taxi squads are going to go away, and then we'll likely see it be Ullmark and Swayman because Sweeney's not going to make a trade. He's not going to trade out Ullmark. He's not going to trade out Swayman. He just signed Tuukka Rask. Tuukka Rask isn't going to play for any other team, and every other team knows that. So Swayman likely gets demoted to the AHL for the remainder of the season. And then I'd honestly be surprised, only if Sweeney is still the GM, I'd be surprised if Tuukka Rask is even offered a contract for next season. Whereas he should be because he still plays with elite numbers, but that's a whole nother conversation for another time. Again, I've been doing a lot of analyzing of the Bruins this season. It's been a very interesting team and very frustrating to watch as a fan, as someone who just enjoys hockey. It's hard to root for them when they're playing like this. It's great they've won 2 games, but they almost need to lose a bunch of games to be like humbled and really ignite a change. So I don't know. Hopefully change comes and they still have a winning record and then they make the playoffs and moves are being made with a new general manager and they can make a Stanley Cup run. But the way we stand at this point, especially with Coyle getting second and first line ice time, with the team they have, I don't see them making a very deep run at all in the playoffs. I don't. So let me know what you guys think. It's just, I don't know. At this point with Boston this year, I don't have words. If you have words, I'd love to hear them. But in the meantime, thanks for watching and take care, guys. Appreciate you guys.